Holy smokes, ladies and gentlemen, do we have a big one for you today? Robert Saleh spoke with the media as per usual on this Wednesday. We always go through, break down the Jets news of the day coming out from Robert Saleh's press conference, and there's some other things we'll touch on at the end. But the big story of today, the New York Jets are opening Aaron Rodgers' 21-day practice window.
And then we're opening up the windows for Wes Schweitzer, Justin Hardy, and then Aaron.
You're opening the Aaron window?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What will, I think that's probably in line with what he's trying to do, but can you just talk a little bit about his recovery in general, the fact that September 11th and now?
Yeah. For Aaron, different than like Hardy and Wes, where we're getting those guys ready to play. This isn't so much getting ready to play as much as it is a progression in his rehab. I can get in all the detail with regards to IR designations and all that and where we stand and why we're able to do this. But for Aaron, what he will be doing in practice is no different than what he'd be doing on Field 3 as you guys all watch it. With regards to certain drills and individual being able to throw it, instead of throwing with staff members, he's throwing with teammates. So there's no added risk to it. There's certain things that he's been cleared for that we're going to allow him to do.
The exact line is functional football activity from Robert Saleh, not necessarily to play football. There's a difference, and I think it's important to include that because eventually I'm sure the goal is to be cleared for practice and then eventually play. But even just getting to the point that 79 days after tearing his Achilles, that he is able to be on the field with his teammates throwing the football around, which again, that's all he is doing for right now. We will see. That is the next step in the recovery process. This does not guarantee that he is coming back on December 24th against the Washington Commanders, but it is just, again, opening up that opportunity and opening up him to take that next step in his recovery process. Naturally, Robert Saleh was asked whether or not this was a wise decision, right? Like there's some risk involved with an older player. What if he gets hurt for a second time and then just decides that he would call it a career? Robert Saleh says that that's not the case, that they believe that he is coming back in 2024, no matter what happens with, if he re-injures or if he doesn't re-injure. And that was really all, kind of expected all along. I will say a positive, if God forbid the worst happens, and if he was to get hurt again, late December to January to September of next year is a pretty long time. Aaron Rodgers spoke on the Pat McAfee show yesterday and talked about his attempt at returning. He's been with the team since around Thanksgiving. And again, I'm just happy for him. If he comes back and plays, whatever, right? That would be a really cool story. But I'm not going to get myself all worked up about this is so stupid. Why are they doing this? Or this is the greatest thing ever. Can we just focus on, from a medical perspective, him being able to come back and get to even this point should be looked at as a major win for just, medical science in general and a testament to him. He is just a determined, awesome person, which is why I'm rocking the 8 today. I'm breaking back the 8 back out. I haven't worn it since opening night. I've had it tucked away in the closet for a little bit. And, I wanted to rock it today and show support to Rodgers for, trying to come back this year and for really making that seemingly crazy, unheard of medical recovery. So shout out Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be back with the team, throwing the pigskin around with his teammates. That's really only the difference right now. Again, I want to reiterate. Essentially, if he wasn't returning to practice, they weren't opening that window, he would be throwing with trainers on Field 3, Robert Saleh kept saying. But now, because they activated the window, he can throw to teammates on the field. Not necessarily in training camp when you're there and he's taking snaps under center and it's 7-on-7, not necessarily like that. That's, again, probably a goal for them to get to, but Aaron Rodgers is going to be throwing to teammates.
Why now? Is there a specific reason why today opening the window?
He was cleared. So he was cleared for, like I said, once the doctors cleared him for the next step in his rehab. And look, we're in a position, not to get too technical for everyone, but you're allowed a certain amount of IR designation to returns every year. And we're in a position where we've got a few extras, a few that we won't use at all. So it doesn't harm it doesn't do anything to us roster-wise. We don't have to cut anyone. We don't have to move anyone to the side. And so the technicality, not to get too specific for everyone, but I will, the technicality is he's either doing everything he's cleared for off to the side, as you guys know it, on field 3, or he's doing everything that he's cleared for. So instead of with his team, with his teammates. So instead of throwing to a strength and conditioning coach, he can throw to his teammates. That's the only difference.
Anyway, a couple more things of note, because it wasn't just all Aaron Rodgers, although I felt like that was definitely the case. But few notes. Allen Lazard will be active on Sunday. Robert Saleh was asked about the wide receiver who was inactive last week. He is expected to be active against the Atlanta Falcons. He sat for a game, and that's the thing. It was a reset. This was never going to be, someone who was going to be inactive the rest of the year and be inactive next year, right? Because you can't get out of that contract. But I think he really needed to sit down. He was playing really horrific football. Like, if we're just being completely honest, drops and mistakes and penalties, just really, really bad. Has been a terrible year one for him, which is upsetting. I liked Allen Lazard. I didn't necessarily want him to be this team's bona fide number 2 receiver. I was a little bit more comfortable with bringing in Allen Lazard when you still had Elijah Moore, and then, well, not even Elijah, but Mecole Hardman and Corey Davis. And, it was a little bit more of a well-rounded wide receiver room. But when it's Garrett Wilson, drop off, Allen Lazard, major drop off after that, it's a little bit tough. But Allen Lazard's going to make his way back in. So I would assume Jason Brownlee probably sits. They play a very similar role. Why Jason Brownlee couldn't get any targets last week against Miami, I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm sitting here scratching my head the same way. So Lazard is making his way back. Also, Mekhi Becton is expected to play, so he is missing just the one game. To be fair, I would say this with a caveat, because Robert Saleh has been confident about guys being able to play, and then they don't. So I'm hoping that's not the case, but with Mekhi, the timeline was always 1 to 2 weeks. He misses the one game, so this is kind of, you're at that point where you would expect him to come back. They played on Friday, so you have an extra few days of rest. Not that he was, playing, but they now play Sunday against Atlanta. So we'll see what happens there. It was always kind of a tough turnaround. Like, he gave it a real go to try to play on Friday, on Black Friday. That was obviously a really, really tough thing. There was no guarantee that he was going to be able to do it, but he gave it a go. Wasn't able to go. So I think I agree with Saleh on this one, by the way. I do think that he plays on Sunday, which is a plus. And then finally, unsure if Dwayne Brown will play or not in this game. He did praise Carter Warren for his play. Now, I will say I think Carter Warren's actually looked better than Max Mitchell. I think Max Mitchell's been the worst tackle of the two. I really do. So maybe Carter Warren plays right tackle and Max Mitchell sits and Mekhi Becton comes back at left tackle. You could do it that way. You could have Dwayne Brown at left tackle again, and then Mekhi Becton moves back to right tackle. There's many ways the Jets could go about this on the offensive line, but they are getting a little bit healthier. Wes Schweitzer should also be coming back, so that is a plus because we know how bad the offensive line's been the last 2 weeks. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments on all this big Jets news from today. Once again, I'm Matt O'Leary. I'll catch you next time.